Some conversations never had the chance to happen. Others linger in our minds, unfinished, like letters we never sent. This is a space for those moments, the words we wished we had spoken, the goodbyes that never came, the memories that still knock quietly at our hearts. Here, each story is a safe place to listen, to remember, and to be reminded that no feeling is too small to matter. Welcome to, if I could say one more thing. Sometimes, the smallest things hold the most. A star painted by a friend, a mitten with a secret note, a silver bell that has forgotten how to ring. In today's story, we meet Susan, who chose a half-sized Christmas tree for a year when her heart felt quieter than the season around her. What she didn't expect was that, one by one, the ornaments would speak, carrying her through moments of laughter, regret, and love that still echo through the branches. She stood in line at the supermarket, staring at the stack of potted furs wilting under fluorescent lights, each one no taller than her knee. Some were sparse, others overfull like they've tried too hard to grow. She reached out and brushed her fingers along the needles of one that was slightly bent, its trunk leaning just enough to look like it had been through something. She lifted it, testing its weight. It was lighter than she expected. Not so much a tree as a gesture towards one. She hesitated, then slid it into her cart between oat milk and a frozen lasagna. Half a tree, she muttered. At home, she set it on the windowsill in the living room. It didn't reach the curtains, didn't ask much of her. That was the point. This year, there would be no garlands, no arguing over white lights or colored ones, no 7-foot monster shedding needles like a molting porcupine. Just this small, resilient thing. The ornament box was waiting in the closet, its cardboard soft and bent from years of being moved from place to place. She pulled it down, the faint smell of cinnamon and dust puffing into the air. The box was lighter now than it used to be. Inside, everything was wrapped in tissue paper like bones. The first ornament she unwrapped was a tiny wooden star, hand-painted in smudgy primary colors. "Do you remember when I made these?" asked Claire, her voice carrying that Savannah meets theater major inflection. "You got paint all over the microwave," she said, smiling despite herself. "And you said stars shouldn't go in microwaves." "We drank peppermint schnapps from teacups." "And I confessed I was in love with Laura." She paused, letting the memory rest in her hands. "You should have told her. She would have said yes." "I know," Claire replied softly. "Even back then, you needed to know someone saw you." She tucked the star low near the trunk, a quiet kind of light. Then sat back for a moment, looking at it until the present came into focus again. The hum of the radiator, the slow drift of dusk. Next came a string of golden beads, cheap plastic pretending at elegance. You stole these from the office party, Danny said, laughing. You dared me to. You were drunk on Prosecco and existential dread. You kissed me that night. You let me. Silence stretched between them. We never talked about it again, she said. I didn't want to lose you. But you did. I know. The beads coiled in her palm, cool and slippery. She looped them gently around the little tree, where they shimmered without apology. She stood back, her reflection caught faintly in the window, and thought about the way people vanish without really leaving. A ceramic snowman came next, its nose chipped off years ago. You said he looked like Karl Lagerfeld, said Max, her ex-husband, from somewhere between memory and regret. You did put a tiny scarf on him. I wanted our tree to be fashionable. You wanted our everything to be fashionable. He sighed. I never learned how to just sit with you. I was always trying to design our life like it was a photo shoot. She turned the snowman over. Christmas 2014. The year everything cracked. I'm sorry I didn't stay for the hard part, he said. Me too, she replied. She hung the snowman anyway, then went to put the kettle on. Tea always helped after Max. The next ornament was a knit mitten. Green and red yarn faded like a vintage postcard. Inside was a scrap of paper in her own handwriting. Don't tell Mom, but I opened your gift. I love it. I got you socks. Sorry. Michael laughed. Her little brother. Gone now for 9 Decembers. I hated those socks, but you knew that. You said they felt like wool prisons. And you kept buying them every year. You were hard to shop for. You were easy. Books, blank journals, almonds and dark chocolate. I still buy them, she said. Every year. I pretend they're from you. I know, Michael said. I leave the price tag on just to bug you. She placed the mitten high, as if he could see it. For a moment she stayed there, hand resting on the branch, breathing in the faint scent of pine. At the bottom of the box was a silver bell with a broken clapper. Remember that dumb poem you wrote? Came a warm, deep voice. Sean. About that bell that didn't ring? You said it was a metaphor for emotional repression. You said it was the most depressing thing that you'd ever read. And then I kissed you, right there, in your freezing kitchen. They were quiet for a long moment. We weren't ready, she said finally. We were trying to be holy in a world full of hunger. She smiled at that. You always talked like that. I still do. She nestled the bell deep into the tree's center, where it couldn't ring, but it could rest. She stepped back. The half-tree sparkled, imperfect, unbalanced, wholly hers. Every branch a story, every ornament a wound that had closed, but never quite scarred over. She sank into the couch, pulled her sweater close, and closed her eyes. The room glowed softly around her. the air warm with pine and memory. Outside, a single snowflake drifted past the window and was gone. The story you've just heard was inspired by a real request. To protect privacy, all names have been changed, and certain details have been adapted. But the heart of it remains true. In this conversation, I speak with Susan, who shared the memories behind her half-sized Christmas tree and the people, living and gone, whose voices still find her every December. So, Susan, when you first sent me your story idea for Half a Christmas Tree, I remember thinking, this isn't just about a tree. There's so much more under the surface. Can you tell me where it started?
I was in a supermarket, and there was this sad little display of potted fir trees. You could tell they've been there too long, a bit wilted, a bit dusty. Lucy were just walking past, but I stopped. I don't know why. I touched one and it felt like me in a way, not grand, not flashy. Just, still standing. So I bought it.
What was Christmas like for you that year?
Quiet. And I needed it that way. I didn't have the energy for the big production. Dragging out the huge tree, digging through tangled lights.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted something I could look at and feel, to feel safe with. That little tree didn't ask anything of me, and I didn't ask anything of it.
So the story uses ornaments as doorways into memories. Was there a real ornament that came first for you?
Yeah, it was a little wooden star my college roommate painted for me, Claire. She was wild, but in the best way. Peppermint schnapps and teacups. We lost touch years ago, but I still have her little star. It's chipped now, but it's still here.
Some of the ornaments in the story hold lighter memories, and some carry more weight. I'm thinking of Michael.
My brother. He died 9 years ago, just before Christmas. Every year after that felt kind of, a little bit hollow. Mm. But I still hang this little mitten he made in primary school. Inside it, there's a scrap of paper where I wrote him a note. I had opened his present early and was apologizing. I gave him socks every year, and, he'd make a face about him. But I keep buying them for him anyway.
Why?
I think it was a way of keeping the joke going. Like if I stopped, it would mean he was really gone.
Mm. So in the story, there's also this bell with a broken clapper tied to someone named Sean. Did you have your own bell?
Yeah. His name wasn't Sean, but there was someone. It was one of those connections that wasn't ready. We had this beautiful winter together, but we were both in our own little storms. We didn't work. But I think we both felt seen in a way that mattered.
Do you still think of him?
Sometimes, certain songs, certain weather, but with sadness, more with gratitude. Some people aren't meant to stay, but they leave something with you that you keep.
So I'm curious, do you still put up a tree now?
Yes, I do. It's never big, though. It's just something small. But every year I take it out, those same ornaments. And every year I talk to the people they belong to. I mean, sometimes out loud. I mean, it sounds strange, but it makes me feel less alone.
That's not strange at all. What do you think the half tree gave you that year?
Permission to do less, to hold the things I loved without pretending they didn't hurt, to let the past sit quietly beside me without having to fix it.
And if you could say one more thing to any of the people in those memories, who would it be for?
My brother. I'd tell him I still buy the socks, and I always will.
Thank you, Susan, for sharing this with me and with everyone listening.
Oh, thank you for telling it.
Some ornaments aren't just decorations. Others are bookmarks in the story of our lives, holding voices we still love and moments we still carry. If this episode has touched you, I invite you to follow the podcast so you won't miss the next story. And if you have a memory or an unfinished conversation you'd like to share, you can reach me at SayOneMoreThingPod@gmail.com. I'm Andrea Applewick, and this is If I Could Say One More Thing.